at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We gotta unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters of the Resistance, Monday, July 8th. I'm Dean Obeidallah, as always, here to be your MBFF. All the time on Twitter. I'm there, dean@deanofradio.com. A lot of people email me over the break because they know I'm needy. They knew I'd be alone. I mean, I wasn't completely alone, but I didn't have you. And so people email me, and I was really happy. I had time to get back to, I think, everyone. Again, that's dean@deanofradio.com. I hope you had a great 4th of July. Hope you had time to have some fun, recharge, have a barbecue, all the 4th of July things people do. And, you know, I make fun of Trump as much as possible, but we have to give him thanks for one thing, because on July 4th, on the salute to Trump, he reminded us of some of the early conquests of our Continental Army that are overlooked. In schools, they don't teach it. And it's so unfair. The sacrifices of the men and women. And I just play, if you didn't hear it, here he is remarking on unbelievable achievements that get overlooked. But here he is, 4th of July. Here's clip number 1.
The Continental Army suffered a bitter winter of Valley Forge, found glory across the waters of the Delaware, and seized victory from Cornwallis of Yorktown. Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
All right. I still laugh. I just want to play to highlight one specific part of that clip. Lauren, let's hit clip number 2.
Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
First of all, the army manned the air, he said. The army manned the air. Not the Air Force, the Army. And then, of course, the classic line, which made Twitter and social media and everyone else chuckle and explode, was him saying the Continental Army in 1775 took the airports. Of course, the first flight by the Wright brothers was 1903, but it does not matter. Facts don't matter to Trump. Why get upset? He is reminding us of these untold stories of the men and women, probably only men could serve then, right? Who fought and took over the airports to liberate the United States of America. Who could forget the Battle of LaGuardia? Or the great moments of Onward to JFK, or the horrific battle, the second battle of Newark Airport, where it was involving the TSA and a lot of luggage was lost. That was horrific. So much lost luggage. That's where Lord Samsonite was first detected there. And we all remember Paul Revere, 1 by land, 2 by sea, 3 by air. That's what he said, didn't he? You know, they say there are no conservative comedians, folks. We hold the bar too high. They are hilarious. Watch Fox News. I laugh all the time. Difference is they're not trying to be funny. So here's Donald Trump, and he said it was his teleprompter. Even if your teleprompter went out, whoever you are, and you're talking about 1775, would you make up that the Army took the airports? Who says that? An idiot. So that was the fun we had there. By the way, there was some real breaking news. It's not a joke. Eric Swalwell, the congressman from California, dropped out. The first 2020 Democrat to dropped out about an hour ago, leaving us now with only 327 Democrats left running for president. So going to miss him. Swalwell was running actually behind me in New Hampshire. That's how bad he was doing. And we remember him in that debate with Joe Biden saying, it's time for you to pass the torch. Looks like there'll be no torch passed to Eric Swalwell. We could debate all day should other Democrats drop out. We have another debate at the end of July. Not everyone is qualified yet who can qualify, but the next debate in September, there's none in August, and they double the requirements to qualify. And instead of having 65,000 donors, you need 130,000 donors. Instead of polling at 1 percentage point for several polls, you need to poll 2 points. So September, we're going to see a winning of the field no matter what. I imagine you might see other Democrats drop out after the July debate. I imagine after September, we'll definitely see some dropping out. So let's talk about something that's far more frustrating and heartbreaking right now. And I try to be measured about this because I've said often on this show, I admire and respect Speaker Pelosi in certain areas. I think she's phenomenal at understanding the procedures of Congress, of getting under the skin of Donald Trump, of rattling him, sincerely rattling him. And I think that's great. I've been critical of her refusal to do impeachment. And something else happened this week, and we learned on Sunday from Maureen Dowd from the New York Times. And here, call me old-fashioned, but I thought this Democratic Speaker of the House, the Democratic Speaker, would be bolstering fellow Democrats and trying to hold a Republican president accountable using every tool in the toolbox to do that. But Speaker Pelosi is not doing that, and it's continuing now. And this new thing, to me, is literally stunning when I get into a little bit more of the details. And probably most of you heard this by now, but in Sunday's New York Times, Maureen Dowd, the columnist, wrote an article, spent some time with Nancy Pelosi. And in that article, she slams, Pelosi, not Dowd, slams 4 visible vocal members of the House, new freshmen. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib from Michigan, and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts. And the reason Nancy Pelosi was upset with them is that these 4 were the only Democrats to vote against a House bill on June 25th to fund the border crisis at the time. This House bill went nowhere. It got voted on in the House. These 4 Democrats voted against it. The rest of the Democrats went for it. It went to the Senate where it just died. And ultimately, they passed the Senate version of the bill to give funding where 90 Democrats voted against that. But in any event, so she's upset that these 4 voted against the June 25th bill. Why? I don't know, and the reason the Democrats, these 4, voted against that bill on June 25th, in their statement, they put out, it said, in good conscience, we cannot support the supplemental funding bill, which gives even more money to ICE and Custom Border Patrol and continues to support a fundamentally cruel and broken immigration system. Well, Pelosi told Maureen Dowd about the 4, saying this, all these people have is their public whatever and their Twitter world, adding, but they don't have any following. They're 4 people, and that's how many votes they got. All these people have is their public whatever and their Twitter world, by Nancy Pelosi. In response, AOC on Twitter said, looking at the comments about public whatever, zooming in on that, she said that public whatever is called public sentiment. In wielding the power to shift it is how we actually achieve meaningful change in this country. Not bad for the youngest member of the House, responding to the Speaker in a much less dismissive and belittling way than the Speaker went after her. And here's Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who's one of the 4 singled out by Speaker Pelosi, on ABC yesterday, responding to this slam. And here's clip number 3, please.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said that you and the 3 other progressives made yourself irrelevant to the process by voting against the bill. All these people have their public whatever and their Twitter world, she said, but they didn't have any following. They're 4 people, and that's how many votes they got.
You know, people like us, people like me and Ayanna, Ilhan, and Alexandria, we're reflective of our nation in many ways, but many of us didn't run to be first of anything. But more people like us have been missing in the halls of Congress. More people like us, people of color, have been missing in the chamber because most of us, and Ayanna Pressley says it more beautifully, people that are closest to the pain need to be at the table making these decisions. Guess what? We know what it feels like to be dehumanized. We know what it feels like to be brown and black in this country. And I'll tell you right now, we're not going to stand by and sit idly by and allow brown and dark-skinned children to be ripped away from their parents, to be dehumanized.
So that was Rashida Tlaib responding to this, making the point that as brown and black people, and all 4 she singled out were brown or black, that they're the ones who've suffered the most. And I love the comment of Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, who we tried to get on the show. I did interview her once, but that was on Capitol Hill. We were there, and we grabbed her for a few minutes and talked to us. And she's from Massachusetts. She's the first African-American woman elected in the history of Massachusetts, actually in the history of the Northeast. Her and Johanna Hayes in Connecticut both got elected in 2018. But the idea of those who have the most to lose, who suffer the most pain, should be at the table. I love that sentiment, and it's so important. And then Rashida Tlaib was asked by the anchor, if you could speak to Speaker Pelosi right now, what would you say to her? Let's hear this. Clip number 2, please. Clip number 4, sorry.
What would you say to Nancy Pelosi? What would you say directly to Nancy Pelosi?
Honor the fact that we are there, that 650,000 people are represented by each and every single one of us, that there is some sort of, I think, in many ways, something special about having a refugee, having a woman that, has experienced alone what incarceration has done to her family, right? All of us have these experiences that I think have been missing in the halls of Congress. Honor that, respect that, put us at the table. Let's come up with a solution together. But there is a better approach. They passed something out of the House. Still, I will not support anything that is broken and that dehumanizes people. But guess what? Mitch McConnell sent you back something that was worse. And I'll tell you right now, all you can do is focus on him. Uplift the women, especially the women of color within your caucus that are out there, because I'll tell you, more people like us, more people like me that come out to vote, we win. All of us win.
And you know what's so stunning about Speaker Pelosi publicly trashing these 4 members of Congress in a dismissive way is that Speaker Pelosi's philosophy, since literally after they won in November 2018, in a statement to the new members of the House, and over repeated, this is her philosophy, and I love it. I'm being sincere. That sounds right. Here is her philosophy. This is Pelosi's quote: "Our diversity is our strength. Our unity is our power." She is 100% right. Our diversity is our strength. Our unity is our power. And that means not just diversity in terms of background, that means diversity of opinions. And if you're going to belittle those who have difference of opinion with you, you're going to destroy your second goal, which is unity. And unity is so desperately needed in the House because only the House is a check on Donald Trump's worst, the king that he wants to make himself. Only the House is that. The Senate's not going to do it. The Republicans in the House are ridiculous. They shouldn't even get paid. They do nothing. And the Supreme Court once in a while does something. The only part of the entire federal government that is a check on Donald Trump on some level is the House of Representatives. So if there's not unity in the House, we're in trouble, big time. And secondly, that brings me to the other point of this, that unity is not unity for unity's sake. It is the idea of using this unity to hold Trump accountable. That's why we worked so hard to win in 2018 in November. And I said I would not bring up impeachment again because it becomes destructive. We have an internal fight amongst ourselves unless something came up. And this made me bring it up again. Going through this comment here by Speaker Pelosi, dismissing these 4 voices, all who want impeachment of Donald Trump, and to bring people up to speed on where is the Democratic caucus on supporting impeachment of Trump. At the last time we were talking about it, it was at 40. And we stopped talking about it on the show by design because we had a lot of great discussions about it. But I actually I was worrying that it was creating more of a divide in our party than we need. Now over 80 House Democrats support impeachment, over 80. And 1 independent, Justin Amash, who quit the Republican Party. Beyond that, a July 3rd Gallup poll, just 5 days ago, this came out. July 3rd, 81% of Democrats polled per Gallup, which is a good poll. 81% support impeaching Trump now. 81% of the Democratic base supports impeaching Trump. That's a record number. You can't get Democrats to agree on 81% of anything. Nothing. We can't agree on that. 81%. So the range of polls supporting impeachment of Trump of Democratic base range from 65 now to 81%. And beyond that, the same July 3rd Gallup poll found that 45% of Americans support beginning impeachment against Donald Trump. That is far, far more than supported impeachment against Richard Nixon at the outset of his hearings. At that time, and we're using just the Gallup polling, at the time of the impeachment hearings beginning of Richard Nixon, the support was at 19%. That was it. And it went up quickly to 38%. Still below the 45% of all Americans right now. 45% of all Americans supporting impeachment. And there's no doubt that number jumps if they begin an impeachment inquiry. And they go through all the 10 specific episodes that Robert Mueller outlined in his report of potential obstruction of justice by Donald Trump. Plus, even the non-crime stuff in Volume 1 of Donald Trump, as Mueller said, understanding the help from Russia would help his campaign, and Russia understanding that Trump is going to help their country. The more Americans hear that over and over and over, even if that's not a crime, that is horrible. That's the guy in the White House, according to Mueller's conclusions, knew his campaign, him and his campaign knew they'd be helped by Russia and accepted all the help they could get. And Russia wanted him over Hillary Clinton, and that's who won. So, to me, what Speaker Pelosi has done is actually help Donald Trump. And and hear me out on this, not intentionally. I do not believe intentionally. Sincerely, I do not believe intentionally. A new Washington Post poll came out yesterday, and it's stunning, and it's alarming, and it makes my stomach turn. According to a new Washington Post ABC poll yesterday that came out, Trump has his highest approval rating ever in their polling, 47% approval rating. 47, only 50% disapprove. In April, the last time they did their polling, Washington Post, he was at 42%. What happened since April? Well, the Mueller report came out in April. And since then and now, Trump has gone up 5 points. And I believe it's because Americans who didn't know what was going on with Trump, didn't know if he was involved with Russia or not. I've seen nothing from the House Democrats about the issue, heard Trump say he's exonerated, and heard no pushback, and he's got a bump from it. And if you're going to say, no, it's the economy, well, here's the reality. In April, unemployment was lower by 0.1% than it is today. So it's not the economy. The economy's not gotten better in the last few months. The only big factor, significant factor that has changed between April and now, and this 5-point Trump bump, is the fact that we got the Mueller report and there was no impeachment. And so we follow politics very closely. But as you know, as we all understand, not all Americans are like us. They're busy. They don't care about it. Whatever it might be, they follow the headlines. They see Trump says exonerated. They see Democrats doing nothing. They assume it's right and it's over. They go, you know what? The economy's pretty good. Trump's not a criminal. I might not like the guy, but they're not following that closely. They don't care about bigotry and racism and sexism. And they don't think he's a criminal. Boom. This is what's going on, folks. So my view, and I wrote about this for CNN yesterday, and if you're interested, you can check out my article. It's on Twitter at Dino Bidala or Facebook.com/Dino Radio, which I wrote about Speaker Pelosi. Why is she attacking progressive Democrats and helping Donald Trump? And I can't give you more details than this, but I can tell you a Pelosi ally who knows her well, I can assure you, communicated to me that she was upset with this article. And she was upset that I had said she had helped Donald Trump. And I'm glad that Speaker Pelosi saw the article. I'm glad people on her team are upset with this article because I was very fair to Speaker Pelosi. If you read the article, you see I was extremely fair. I did not say she's being blackmailed or whatever. And I even said, I concluded that Speaker Pelosi has an opportunity right now to correct both of these things. One, to go back to her philosophy, which is diversity is our strength and unity is our power. Don't badmouth your fellow Democratic caucus members in the public. That's the easiest thing. She can resolve that. And I bet you she is not happy that Maureen Dowd wrote that because I bet you they were just talking for days and that becomes the whole hook of the article. The second thing is with impeachment, and you are the Speaker of the House, you have to use every tool in your toolbox to hold Donald Trump accountable. July 17th, Robert Mueller will testify before Congress. That is the perfect opportunity to say what we've seen now demands we begin an impeachment inquiry. Just the inquiry. And we said that before. That's not a vote up and down. That's not saying articles of impeachment are being drafted. That is simply a period of time. They'll have the House Judiciary Committee vote, formally call it an impeachment inquiry, and then over the next 6 to 8 months, or maybe 9 months, however long it takes, they go through the Mueller report. They bring in witnesses. America sees all the facts. And if Trump stonewalls an impeachment inquiry, most Americans, I think, are going to get the guy's hiding criminality. Because right now, while Speaker Pelosi is supportive of normal traditional oversight, such as committees subpoenaing records from Donald Trump, he's saying no to everything. Just right before the 4th of July holiday, Secretary of Treasury said absolutely no Trump tax returns, so they filed a lawsuit against Trump in federal court, against the Department of Treasury in the federal court to get his tax returns. We're not going to get them right away, 6 months, a year, who knows? But if America's watching this all part of an impeachment inquiry, I think it makes a compelling case he is hiding something. So, look, I'd love to hear from you on this. And let's be respectful about this. We're fellow Democrats. I sincerely do not believe Speaker Pelosi is compromised. I think she's a political person. I think she comes from a different time when getting along with the president and finding common ground were much easier because we were not as hyper-partisan, perhaps. In my heart, I believe that. And I think she's miscalculating. I also think she's miscalculating on the idea that impeachment hurts the Democrats. Republicans are so concerned about impeachment. The Republican National Committee today released polls. They did in 4 swing districts showing how impeachment would hurt the Democrats there. Why are they doing those polls? Because Trump and the GOP are so freaking out about potential impeachment. They're trying to tell Democrats it's not good. It's not in your best interest. Why would you tell us it's not in our best interest to do something like that? You should want us to do impeachment if it really helps you as a Republican, but it doesn't. It hurts them. It's going to hurt the Republican Party. It's going to hurt Donald Trump. It's an albatross around his neck. He no longer controls the narrative. We control the narrative. It's the right thing to do constitutionally. It's the right thing to do politically. It's the right thing to do legally. We should be doing it. And if we don't do it after July 17th, then we're never going to have impeachment. And as I put in my article, I conclude that the ball's in Speaker Pelosi's court, and her choice in what she does next, impeachment or not, is going to have a huge impact on whether Donald Trump is president for 8 years or a Democrat wins in 2020. And if Speaker Pelosi chooses to ignore the will of 65 to 81% now of the House of all Democrats, it's between 65% and 81% of all Democrats who support impeachment. If she's going to do that and ignore what we believe is right, and we're Democrats and we elected you, Democrats, then she does that at her peril. And what I mean by that is if Trump is reelected, she cannot definitely not be House Speaker. She can stay in Congress if she wants to be. That's her district's choice of what they want to do. But she should resign immediately for that. I'm hoping she does the right thing. And you know what? If she does impeachment and 70, 80% of us wanted impeachment and it goes horribly wrong and the Democrats screw it up, well, we have no one to blame but ourselves. We will not blame her. We'll blame each other and the other Democrats who screwed it up. But we'll say at least Speaker Pelosi listened to the will of the Democratic base. And I'm so happy to live or die on that sword. If we push her and she does it and the Democrats in the House screw it up and it hurts us and Trump gets reelected, then I'll say, you know what? We made a big mistake and we have to live with this now. We got to fight Trump tooth and nail for the next 4 years. But if she doesn't do it and he wins re-election, we are all going to point at this moment and say, you could have changed the course of history. And I think even worse, if Trump wins re-election, historians will look back years from now and say the horrific stuff Trump does in the last 4 years in the White House, even if it's only 4 years, who knows how long it is? Maybe it's longer than 4 years. If this guy can figure out a way to do it, he's the one that'll do it. They'll say the Democrats in the House had a chance to use every possible means under the Constitution to prevent Trump from accomplishing his goal of being reelected, and they didn't do it. And I don't want historians to look back and go, they left something on the table they could have used. So, all right, let's take a break. I want to hear from you. You're my guest right at the top of the hour, 866-997-4748. What do you think of what Speaker Pelosi did? Is it time for impeachment? Did she do the right thing going after these House Democrats? And I so appreciate none of the 4 responded in a personal way and belittled her and said things like, you're public, whatever. And she could have just misspoke. You know, that these things happen and she can correct it now. I expected her to come out with a statement today saying, I didn't say that, or it was wrong, or was out of context. She didn't. So this is where we are. You're my guest. Let's take a break. Be right back with you.
The Dean Ovidala Show.
Whoever's the next president, we should call them the 45th president of the United States. And this will go down as a dark